I'm getting a lot of great UiPath questions, mainly at my YouTube channel, but also here at my Instagram. Let's solve one of them. It's from Anusayit1. Thank you, Anusayit1. Anusayit1, he wants to know how he can sort an Excel sheet with month number. I replicated his data. Let's take a look at this. It says April, December, November, January, May. We want to sort this month column so that we have January here. Then we have February. There's no February, but then April, May, November, and December. We can't do that just by sorting it because they are not alphabetically or numerical. So we want to convert these month names into some integers which we can sort on. I will live solve the entire solution, and this video will be a little bit different than the videos I usually make because I will just live solve it and then upload it. So we will not have technical things like zoom ins and comments, but it'll be a really nice video which will teach you a lot about .NET, date time, and UiPath. So let's jump to UiPath and solve it. Here I placed the data in my UiPath project folder. Let's read it. So I go to activities and then I find an Excel application scope and drag it in. I want to read the data XLXX from the project folder. It's here. So I just open that. Then I will choose a read range still from the Excel activities here. So I drag that in. I will read sheet 1, but be careful that this name corresponds to the name here from your data. It does here, so let me jump back to UiPath. And then I want to read this into a data table. So I mark it and go over here to properties, jump right down here to output, Control K. This will create a new variable, an output variable of the type data table. So I'll say DT and then we can just call it data. This data table stores our data from the Excel sheet. A data table looks exactly like an Excel sheet with columns and rows. We just convert it into a data table so we can easily work with it. I'll show you. So now that we have read it, I think we will, before we do anything else, we will add a data column to this data table. And what we will do here is that we will add a data column. So we have the month. That one we will have in our data table, but we will also have some sort of a month number here. So this one, I can see this one will be 4, 12, 11, 1, and 5. And then we can sort the data table based on these numbers instead. So let me delete it again and go back to UiPath. So what I will do is that I'll find an add data column. And by the way, let me know what you think of these live solvings of my UiPath questions from you. And let me know in the comments, and especially if you have other problems that we can solve, let me know in the comments. But here I will drag in an add data column. And we need to fill out some properties up here. First of all, the data table that we want to add a data column to, that is the DT data that we just created up here. So DT data, you can see the IntelliSense shows it. If IntelliSense doesn't show up, simply just press Control Space. But now it does. I can just select it here. The type argument, I will just have strings. Always choose strings as the type of your columns, unless you have a reason not to. You can always convert it to something else later. It's the easiest thing to work with strings. Then we need a column name. In quotation marks, I'll just say month number, like this. And that's it. So now we added a data column to this one. Let's fill in some numbers. That is, we want to fill in these numbers based on what is in this column. So back to UiPath. What I will do, I will iterate to each row in this data table. So I'll find a for each row here, for each row in data table, drag that in. For each current row in, that will be the data table that we created and added a column to, DT data. So what do we want to do? We want to assign a value to this newly created column based on the first column called month. So find and assign. I will search for an assign here and drag it in. An assign, we have two things here. We have where do we want to assign a value to, and what value do we want to assign to that. So let's fill in the left side here. In case you want to, this can be a little bit small, simply just click the plus, open in advanced editor, let me drag it in, and we have a little bit more room. It's the exact same thing as here. So let me do this. So where do I want to add my data to? I want to add it to the current row. Let me show you here. That is the current row. That is the current row that we are iterating through. So this will happen to each one of the rows from DT data. So that will be current row, and I'll say item, that is column, parentheses, and in quotation marks, simply fill in the column name. And we have that because that was month number. We could have created a variable instead, but this will be sufficient. So now we have told UiPath that we want to add the value here. So I click OK. Then we will have the right side. This one will be a little bit more longer, but simply just follow my guidance. I will open it in advanced editor again and drag it here. What I want to do is that I want to take whatever in the first column, that was the month column, I will take that and then I will convert it into a date time so I can convert it back to a string. Yeah, it sounds a little bit messy, but that will be the way to do it because we want to first, we want to take the month into a date time format so UiPath can recognize it as a date time and then simply just pass out the string with the month number. Let me show you. So I will say date time dot pass exact like this. Again, there are a lot of ways to solve this problem. I think this is the most intuitive, it's the fastest, and you will learn a lot. So I'll say, what do I want to convert into a date time? Well, we have the current row, and again, I can take the intelligence, control space, current row, like this. Then I can say item, parentheses. Now I will take the month. So whatever in the month column, that was the month names, like here. And I'll just say to string, so I'll take the object here from the data table and have it as a string here. Then I need to tell UiPath, what format is this in? Well, we only have the month name. And what format is this? Let me show you here. Let me drag it in. I have this Microsoft documentation. Just search for custom date and time format strings and scroll a little bit down. Here, I have the month number in a full month. And again, there's a code for that. We will scroll a little bit down. Big M's, that is month. And here you'll find it 4 M's, that is the full name of the month. That will be, for example, June here. So this one will be the format that we will tell UiPath, well, my data is in this format. It will be the full month. So I go over here and after the comma, I simply just paste it in. Then I will have a little thing about the culture here. So I'll say system. This is just a standard setting. So you'll use this a lot. You'll get used to it. Then we'll have the culture info and then invariant culture. So now I converted again this string here into a date time. We will, because we now have a date time, UiPath recognized this month as a date time. We only have the month name. We want to convert this month name into a number so we can sort it. So I'll just say dot to string like this, then parentheses, and now we will say how do we want it out? So in quotation marks, I'll say 2 big M's. This one will be the month. I will click OK. And just for reference, we can print this out just to show you that I do what I say I do. So if I just go here and simply just print out the current row, paste it in here now, and of course we will open it here and print it out to a string. This is just for debugging purpose and to show you where we are. So if I run this, If I go down to output here, I can see that I now have my numbers nicely formatted into numbers. So now we can sort the data table based on this column. Let me delete the right line. Again, I won't use it. So, but if I, let me have a right range first, so I can show you that it works in Excel as well. So right range from the Excel activities, drag it in. Make sure you are outside the for each row in DataTable. We write data out. That was the DT data. Let's write out to another sheet of our Excel book. I usually do this because then we don't overwrite our initial data. This is good if you, for example, make an error or something. You can just write it out again. So here I write it out. I remember to add headers. I can run this automation. I go back to Excel and now I have a result column. A result sheet, and we can see here I have the month number 4, 12, 11, 1, 5. That corresponds to the month name. It's still not really sorted, so we will do that, but we have come a long way. Let me delete the result sheet again so we can just delete it here like this. So let's create the rest of the automation. So what do I need? I need a sort the data table from up here. So outside the for each row, drag in a sort data table like here, drag it in here. So what data table do I need to sort? I need to sort the DT data like here. I will output it to the same data table. That will be fine. What column do I want to sort on? Well, we have a column called, that was the same as up here. I can copy it from here or have created a variable. So that will be the month number in quotation marks. So if I go back to sort data table, in here the name, sorry, let me paste it in. I couldn't because I haven't copied it. That is with these live solving. So Control C, go back here, Control V, like this. So now I sort my data and I print them out. Let me show you that this automation works like this. I go back to Excel and now my data is sorted. January, April, May, November, December. But this column, that is really not useful. So if I delete the result again and go back, I delete this one here, go back to UiPath, and then I will have a remove data column like here. Drag it in and remember to do it after you sorted the data table. So that is here. So what data column do I need to remove? That was the column name. So again, month number like this, or simply just paste it again. The data table, that was DT data. So now our automation is done. And again, thank you Anshit for your great question. I hope you learned a lot. Otherwise, just ask me in the comments below. Here. Now I have the sheet 1, that was the initial data, and the result here. You can see our months are now sorted. Thanks for watching, and remember to give this video a thumbs up if it helps you. Bye bye.